Hola, Algebra 2 class. Welcome to week 2 of e-learning. So, a couple things that we need to go over before we start our lesson today. First thing, everybody needs to check in on the discussion attendance, okay? If you're not saying here on the discussion attendance, I'm not counting you present for that class period, okay? So make sure you do that. Second thing, try to upload your work in Schoology for me. I'm okay with you emailing it only if you can't get it to submit in Schoology. It's just a lot easier on me to keep everything organized if it's actually submitted on Schoology. But like I said, if you can't get it to submit on there, don't panic. Just email it to me and keep trying every day just to see if you can eventually. Because like I said, it's just easier because when I have 160 kids, it's getting overwhelming in my emails. Okay. Tomorrow, quiz. We're going to take our first quiz on Schoology. It will be a multiple choice quiz. You will answer all your multiple choice questions, submit it, and then underneath the quiz, there will be an assignment that will say, submit your work for the quiz. If you do not upload your work for the quiz, you will not get any points. Okay? I still need to see your work, even though the quiz will be multiple choice. Let's see. A couple of us are using Photomath, which is okay to check your answers. Do not rely on Photomath to do your work for you, okay, or whatever apps there are. Make sure you're doing your work and then you can check it, but use it as a tool, not as the way to do your work, all right? So like I said, today we're going to go over some more practice questions because it's kind of like our review day, and then there will be a 5-question assignment like there has been. Make sure you answer those questions and then submit them. And then, like I said, tomorrow, quiz. Okay? All right. So our directions are to solve and then to check for extraneous solutions. So make sure you're solving, showing your work, and you're always checking your answers, plugging them back in. All right. So let's look at this first one. All right. So the cube root of 2x minus 4 plus 6 equals 4. Now, when we were first talking about these radical equations, you first have to isolate the root or the parentheses that has the exponent on it. You always need to isolate that first. So what I'm talking about is this needs to be isolated first before you can get rid of the root. So what do you think I need to do? Subtract this 6 to isolate this root. So I'm going to subtract 6. So that'll be the cube root of 2x minus 4 equals negative 2, because 4 minus 6 is negative 2. Now, this is a cube root. So the opposite of cube rooting is the cube power, the third power. So now I'm going to take both sides to the third power. When I take both sides to the third power on a cube root cancels them out. So I'm left with 2x minus 4. And then I use my calculator for this part. Negative 2 cubed, negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 is negative 8. And then I would just solve it like a regular equation. So I'm going to add the 4. So that's 2x equals negative 4. Divide by 2. And x equals negative 2. Please check them. So 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 minus 4 is negative 8. The cube root of negative 8 is negative 2. And negative 2 plus 6, that is 4. So it is the right answer. All right, let's look at another one. All right, so 4x to the 3 halves minus 5 equals 103. All right, so like I said, for radical equations, isolate the root or the exponent. So this is what I need to isolate first. Okay, so I'm going to move this 5 over. It's a minus 5, so I'm going to add 5. So that would be 4x to the 3 halves equals 108. Now, I remember last year with my kids on this question, I put one that was super similar onto the test. Most of them missed it. And it's because they didn't fully isolate the radical. This right here, this is the radical. Okay, that x to the 3 halves. That needs to be isolated first before you can raise it to the power to get rid of it. So I need to divide by 4 first. Okay, so I'm going to divide by 4 here. Look at me, I didn't even bring my calculator. Guess I really don't need it, but yes Yes, I do. All right. So 108 divided by 4 is 27. I knew that. So that's x to the 3/2 equals 27. Now that I've got that x by itself, now I can get rid of that exponent. So to get rid of the 3/2 power, I take it to the reciprocal power, which is 2/3. All right, so use your calculator. 27, the little exponent caret button, parenthesis, 2 divided by 3 close. And I got 9. Plug it back in. So you would take exponent first, so 9 to the 3/2. So 9 to the 3/2, which is 27, times 4, which is 108, minus 5, which is 103. It's right. All right. 2 more. Whew. Okay, let's do this one. All right, so this is your all's favorite cough cough. First thing, isolate the parentheses. So this parentheses needs to be by itself with the exponent on it, which it is. All right, so to get rid of a 1/2 power, I take it to the reciprocal power, which is 2 over 1, which is 2, which is squared. So I'm going to raise both sides to the second power. So those cancel out. So I'm left with 2x minus 4 over here. But this is your all's favorite. X minus 2 squared, which means you have to take x minus 2 times x minus 2, double distribute it out. So I'm going to do it down here, but I'm going to erase it because I don't have room. So x minus 2 squared means x minus 2 times x minus 2. So that's x squared minus 2x minus 2x, and then negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Combine like terms, so that's x squared minus 4x plus 4. Which makes it a quadratic, okay? Now, in order to solve a quadratic, it has to be equal to 0, and then we factor it. So now that I got this as a quadratic, I'm going to move everything over there with that quadratic to make it equal 0. So I'm going to erase this bottom part now. So I'm going to subtract the 2x and add the 4. Subtract the 2x, add the 4. So that'll be 0 equals x squared. Negative 4 minus 2, that's negative 6x. 4 plus 4, that's 8. Now I get to factor it. Good thing for us though, it's easy factoring. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 8, but add a negative 6 and their same sign, both negative. Negative 4 and negative 2. Negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8. Negative 4 plus negative 2 is negative 6. Then I set each of those equal to 0 and solve. So x equals 4, x equals 2. Now, check them. Check them in the original problem. So I'm going to erase this because this wasn't the original problem. This was the original problem, okay? Plug it back in there. Plug that number back in for both the x's. So 2 times 4 is 8. 8 minus 4, because I'm plugging 4 in right now. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 minus 4 is 4. And 4 to the 1/2 power, use your calculator, but 1/2 is the same thing as the square root. So 4 to the 1/2 power is 2. Plug 4 in over here. 4 minus 2 is 2. So 2 equals 2. This is right. Check this one. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. 0 to the 1/2 is 0. 2 minus 2 is 0. So 0 equals 0. So that one's also the right answer, which happens sometimes. Sometimes none of them are extraneous. Sometimes one of them is extraneous. But if you get that both of them are extraneous, you didn't do something right. Or it's a no solution, which is pretty rare. All right, last one for us. I'm going to have to get a new marker. All right, so this one's got 2 roots in it. And when we first started talking about these, we talked about if they had more than one root, isolate one of the roots and then get rid of it. So I'm going to isolate this root because this is a minus, so I'm going to go ahead and add it to the other side. So I'm going to add the square root of 5x plus 5. So that's the square root of 7x minus 1 equals the square root of 5x plus 5. My marker is running low. All right, so now that I've isolated this root, it's a square root. To get rid of a square root, I square it. So I square both sides. So squaring the square root cancels that out, so I'm left with 7x minus 1. Also squaring the square root cancels that out, and I'm left with 5x plus 5. Solve it like a regular equation. So put all your x's on one side, so I'm going to subtract the 5x. So that's 5 equals 2x minus 1. Add 1. So that's 2x equals 6. Divide by 2. And x equals 3. Check it in both of them. 7 times 3, 21. 21 minus 1 is 20, so that's the square root of 20. 5 times 3 is 15. What did I just say? 5 times 3 is 15, and that's right. 15 plus 5 is also 20. So that's also the square root of 20, and the square root of 20 minus the square root of 20 is 0. So that is right. So try to watch this video again if you need to. Also go back and watch the videos from last week for that quiz tomorrow. Anything on those 4 videos is fair game for the quiz. Make sure if you have questions tomorrow, email me. Let's get these things worked out for that quiz tomorrow. Okay? All right. We'll Zoom whatever we need to do to get you caught up and ready to go. Adios.